white Christian nationalism. This movement claims to stand on the bedrock of biblical values. They want to see America return to its supposed Christian roots. Their vision of America often feels narrow, exclusive. It raises questions about who belongs and who is truly valued. Can a nation be under God while marginalizing so many? This essay will grapple with these questions. This movement often promotes a distorted view of Christianity. They cherry-pick scripture to fit their narrative. This essay will examine this distortion closely. We will contrast their actions with the teachings of Christ. This is not just an academic exercise. This is about the soul of our nation. It's about understanding true faith. It's about living out the radical love and inclusivity of Jesus Christ. White Christian nationalism often feels like a far cry from the teachings of Jesus. Jesus challenged the powerful. He reached out to the marginalized. He spoke out against hypocrisy in all its forms. Consider Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 to 23. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. These are the words of Jesus himself. He warns us against empty professions of faith. True faith, he argues, is evident in our actions. How do the actions of white Christian nationalists align with these words? Do they reflect the compassion and love that Jesus embodied? Do their policies and rhetoric demonstrate a genuine concern for the poor, the marginalized, the stranger? The gap between their words and actions is a chasm. It exposes a fundamental hypocrisy at the heart of this movement. This hypocrisy undermines their claims to uphold biblical values. It distorts the very essence of the Christian faith. One of the most troubling aspects of white Christian nationalism is its exclusionary rhetoric. They often promote fear and suspicion of those who are different. This is especially true when it comes to immigrants and refugees. This stance directly contradicts the teachings of Jesus. In Matthew chapter 22, verse 39, Jesus commands us to love your neighbor as yourself. This love knows no borders. It encompasses all people regardless of their origin or background. When we build walls of exclusion, we deny the inherent dignity of every human being. We fail to recognize the image of God in each person we encounter. This is not the way of Christ. It is a betrayal of the gospel message of love and compassion. White Christian nationalists often turn a blind eye to systemic injustice. They may even defend systems that perpetuate inequality and oppression. This silence speaks volumes. It reveals a deeply troubling alignment with power over justice. Isaiah chapter 10, verses 1 to 2, condemns those who decree iniquitous decrees, and the writers who keep writing oppression to turn aside the needy from justice. These words are a searing indictment of any movement that aligns itself with oppressive structures. True faith demands that we confront injustice. It calls us to stand with the marginalized and to challenge systems of oppression. We cannot claim to follow Christ while ignoring the cries of those who are suffering. Section 5. Misreading salvation, the peril of once saved, always saved. The concept of salvation is central to Christianity. However, white Christian nationalists often distort this doctrine. They manipulate the idea of once saved, always saved, to justify their actions. This interpretation can lead to a dangerous complacency. Romans 6 verses 1 to 2 challenges this notion. What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin that grace may abound? By no means. How can we who died to sin still live in it? Salvation is not a free pass to live however we choose. It is a call to turn away from sin and to live a life transformed by Christ's love. To use once saved, always saved as a shield for hate and exclusion is a gross misrepresentation of this doctrine. True salvation leads to a changed heart. It compels us to act with love, compassion, and justice. Section 6. The heart of Christianity. Embracing the marginalized. The heart of the Christian faith lies in its radical embrace of the marginalized. Jesus consistently reached out to the outcast, the downtrodden, and the forgotten. His love transcended societal boundaries and challenge the status quo. Remember the words of Jesus in Matthew chapter 25, verse 45. "Truly, I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." This passage serves as a stark reminder that our treatment of the most vulnerable reflects our relationship with Christ. White Christian nationalism often stands in stark contrast to this fundamental Christian value. By embracing exclusion and perpetuating systems of injustice, they turn their backs on the very people Jesus sought to uplift. Section 7. Judging the fruit-recognizing modern-day Pharisees. Jesus warned his followers about false prophets. He urged them to judge these individuals by their actions, not just their words. This warning resonates deeply when we examine the actions of white Christian nationalists. Matthew chapter 7 verse 16 states, "You will recognize them by their fruits." This passage calls us to discern the true nature of individuals and movements by observing their impact on the world. Do the actions of white Christian nationalists reflect the fruits of the Spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control? Or do they bear the bitter fruits of division, hatred, and exclusion? By their fruits, we can recognize them. Section 8. The Pursuit of Justice. Challenging Systems of Supremacy. White Christian nationalism often aligns itself with systems of power and supremacy. This allegiance undermines the pursuit of justice, a core tenet of the Christian faith. True faith demands that we challenge unjust systems and work towards a more equitable society for all. Proverbs chapter 31, verses 8 to 9 calls us to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and needy. These words are a powerful call to action, urging us to be advocates for the marginalized and to fight for justice. When we prioritize supremacy over justice, we betray the heart of the gospel. We fail to live out the radical love and inclusivity that Christ embodied. Section 9. A call to action embracing love, justice, and radical inclusion. The hypocrisy of white Christian nationalism demands a response. It is not enough to simply critique from the sidelines. We must actively work to dismantle systems of oppression and build a more just and equitable society. Micah chapter 6 verse 8 reminds us what the Lord requires of us: to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. This passage offers a powerful antidote to the hypocrisy of white Christian nationalism. We are called to embody a different way, a way of love, justice, and radical inclusion. This means actively challenging injustice, dismantling systems of oppression, and extending grace and compassion to all people. This is the path of true Christianity. This is the way to truly honor God.